said earlier, there's 47 states that require notification after unauthorized access to PHI, and Washington is one of them. Many states require notification of the state attorney general, state consumer protection agencies, and credit monitoring agencies. I'm not familiar with the specifics of Washington law, but I do know you have to report it. Some states allow private right of action for violations. What that means is the patients can sue you, and many states have their own violation penalty structure in addition to HIPAA. So that means after the feds fine you, some states can come in and exercise a fine or penalty phase as well. For Idaho and Washington, well, let's just do Washington. RCW 192255010, notification of affected resident, most expedient time possible and without reasonable delay. Consistent with the legitimate needs of law enforcement. What that means is, if there is a crime and they're investigating it, they may come back to you and say, let's not do any notification while we're still investigating the crime. Under that scenario, you can hold off the notification. And they do allow private right of action of patients. So yes, the patient can sue you in the state of Washington. So how does this affect you? Well, each state's requirements might be different than Washington. So that means if you've got some patients that now live in Washington or in California, you have to know what to do in California, and so forth and so on in 47 other states. And the likelihood of your entire database being Washington-based, I think, is probably pretty slim. State laws do supersede feds if they're stricter. And as I said, you may have patients living in other states. Just check it out one more time. So what about third-party loss? Third-party loss is the patients. Okay? What might the patients plead in an action against you? Breach an implied contract. You know what? They came to you, they gave you the data, but there's an expectation you're going to protect them. Negligence, unfair, deceptive, and unlawful business practices. Invasion of patient rights to privacy. Lost wages, time that they take to try and get everything right. Some legal expenses. And the all-important, and if you guys have ever been sued, you've seen this, the fear, emotional distress, and mental anguish. We deal with that in professional liability in every case. It's just a throw-in by the attorneys. But it may be true. It may be legitimate. So data breaches are happening. They're happening every day. They're happening every day in the medical field. As I said before, theft of a lost laptop. I told you about the information that was found in the recycling bin. Trusted employees selling patient information. Burglary resulting in stolen computers. IT incident. Hack server. Simple error by an employee. And I'm not an IT person, but there is a general belief that as more clinics and practices go to cloud technology, it will afford hackers more opportunity to reach out and get the data. Now, a lot of times I'm asked, well, Chris, if I'm contracting with a vendor through the cloud for my documentation and my practice management, aren't they responsible? Well, the answer is no. Now, you may have a course of action against them to go back and sue them, but the law has been very clear that it's the owner of the data that is responsible. So would you have a business associates agreement with this cloud vendor? Of course you would. But the feds are going to come after you. You would have action against them, and good luck collecting. Hopefully they have insurance. By the way, before I change, I do want to say, the deeper I dig into this, the more I find that if physicians or dentists are working with their IT people and they're encrypting their data, I think your risk is much, much, much less of having a breach. And that's the takeaway here is to really know that your systems are safe and have your data encrypted. At the end of the presentation, I'll also give you a fellow's name at ID Experts. At my request, they're putting together what he claims, I don't know the cost yet because they're doing it now, but an inexpensive risk assessment that they can go through for dental practices that's fairly cheap. And like I said, these guys are the real deal, the real experts. And I would encourage them. And then if you're still a little nervous about it, then we do have insurance, or there's a number of insurances out there for it as well. These are the industries that are most affected. You can see the blue portion is what they call the medical field, and it's about 16% of all breaches. So it's in the minority by far. But we do believe that breaches are going to continue to rise, and we do believe that the medical portion of breaches will rise proportionately as well because of the value of the data. As long as people are willing to pay for it, there's going to be breaches. Oh, another chart that talks about the various different things you have to do. Notification, public relations, forensics, and legal. As I said, you have to create a letter to notify your patients. So you have printing and design costs, mailing, and other transmission costs. How about some public relations? You're going to have to do a press release. You're going to have to notify your community that you've had a breach. So, I'd have a program if it were me. How about a call center for all the patients that are going to call in? Credit monitoring, potentially, depending on, the data of the scope. You'll have to do some sort of forensic exam of your technology to see if it can be improved upon or repaired. Cost to remediate discovered vulnerabilities, and attorney fees. And the loss grows. What about business interruption and income loss? Are you going to lose patients? Are you going to have time to continue to treat patients dealing with this? Extra expense to manage the loss and continue operations. Extortion threat. Talked to a dentist, one of our dentists that had a breach, and he did, now this was rare, but he did have a couple of patients that said, I won't sue you if you do my dentistry for free. One of those grounds I need, let's make a deal. As I said earlier, moments after a breach, you will need to focus on handling. And trust me, as I talk to these dentists that had breaches, it's the primary focus. This poor guy in Portland is not sleeping at night. This is the chart I wanted to show you. The average cost here is $107 a record. And it's broken out, the cost is broken out by the different things that this particular dentist had to do. There's 1,000 patient records. So I don't know what ID Experts did for this chart for me is, I said, give me a real case, but make it easy math. And so I don't know that this was 1,000 records or it was 5,200 records. But they tell me the costs are accurate. This is exactly what they spent per record. They just made 1,000 records, so it'd be easy. But you can see in this case, it's $107. Now that is hard costs. That's the doctor writing checks. It's not his time, or it's not overtime to patients, or it's not incidental things that he or she did. This is the actual money they spent on a per patient basis. And you'll see there's nothing in here regarding any kind of penalty. And they were still working through the penalty phase when they did this chart for it. Again, if we were out for this, I think I'd have better information for you. But what the law appears to be clear about is if you control the data and the data is breached or the data is stolen, you are responsible. Interesting fact, as of last October, HHS has received more than 75,000 complaints regarding breaches. And of those 75,000 cases, they found no violation in just 8,800. So they're, investigating what is that, about 67,000 cases right now. And that was as of last October. I'll give you just a little hint, and we'll clarify this, in a article in WSTA News. But they have changed the definitions of business associates agreements, which you guys all have. We will have one of the lawyers do a boilerplate for us that we'll get for you guys, okay? I don't know what the changes are. They just tweaked it, a little bit tweak here, a little tweak there. But both law firms said we're probably going to have to change the business associates agreements you guys use, and we'll just get something that you can use for you. It is clear, though, I don't know all the details yet, as I said, but it's clear they are increasing patient rights with the final rules of this piece of legislation. There's no question about it. Let me just be blunt. You're the bad guy, you're the good guy. Okay? And as I think I said earlier, if the OCR believes there is willful neglect, even if you correct it, say there's 19 incidents, if in their investigation said, well, you know what, you knew or you should have known, therefore we say this is willful neglect, they will impose a penalty. They don't say what it is, but they said there's going to be no mercy. If it's willful neglect or unwillful neglect, there will be a penalty, period. We don't know anything other than that right now. Like I said, once the attorneys have gone through this and really ferreted out the information, we'll get that to you, probably via WSTA News. Or maybe we'll post it on the website or something like that. Okay? We having fun yet? So let's talk about some costs and exposures. Legal costs to manage federal and state compliance. By the way, if you guys haven't figured this out, this is not something you're going to want to do on your own. There are going to be lawsuits alleging breach of fiduciary duty and violating the right to privacy, which means you'll have to hire an attorney whether the lawsuit's frivolous or not. I don't know if anybody in here has had to utilize Nordic coverage for professional liability or not, but I will tell you, virtually I won't say three-quarters, but well over half of the professional liability claims we get are frivolous. Meaning, there's absolutely no breach of the standard of care. Period. We know it. DQAC knows it. The attorney for the patient knows it. But if you guys have seen the talk before about risk management, you know it's not about whether you breach the standard of care. It's about how much money they can get out of your back pocket or mine. The same thing's going to be true here. You know what? If that smell of money is pretty strong, they're going to go after you. Just so you guys know, the average cost for us to defend a lawsuit today, average cost, before we go to trial,